All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to the October CIECAs. This is Fred Iantorno, Executive Director of CIECA. Today's presentation includes a peek inside CIECA's committees and reviews their accomplishments. The session is being recorded and will be available on the CIECA website within 48 hours. I will use this format today, and which will provide an overview of the work performed by each committee and the messages the committee maintains, wrapping up each committee by covering their current activities. But first, I will address the CIECA committee structure and how a committee is formed. On the CIECA website, under the Committee Navigation tab, there's a tab for the committee structure. When you click on that tab, you'll view this page. If you click on any committee, and in this example, I clicked on the Parts and Materials Procurement Committee, you'll see the committee charter, background, mission, scope and objectives, and other properties of the committee. If you're a CIECA member and have a login, there is additional information that you can view. If your company is a member and you don't currently have a login, email me after this CIECAs and I'll get one for you. After login, click the committee standards on the left navigation. All right. You will then see a list of all the committees. The top contains, I'm just checking to see if everybody can hear me. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, I guess so. You will then see a list of all the committees. The top contains the ones that you subscribe to. The bottom ones are the ones that you're not. You can join any committee by clicking the Join Group link. If you click on the committee, you will view the additional information as I mentioned before. All right. The additional information for each committee can be different based on the committee requirements. However, all contain committee agendas, minutes, and work documents. This one is the Architecture Committee, and it includes JSON project work papers. Forming a committee is easy and very simple. It starts with a business need, an idea. It proceeds then to either a project request or a simple email to Charlie or myself. What we then do is, if your request does not fit into an existing committee, we'll form one. An announcement is made, and invitations are sent out to companies to join. If it is within the scope of one of the committees, then we assign that work to that committee. It's just that simple. Now let's move on to the committees themselves. But first, let me say that all these committees are powered by member employees volunteering their time and expertise to improve the collision industry. It's them that we should thank for all this. Okay, we'll start with the Vehicle Damage and Imaging Committee. This was the first committee, it was the mothership committee that moved our work forward in the development of the new XML standards, the Business Message Suite. The focus of this first committee was the vehicle damage estimate, and it was quickly followed by the creation of the vehicle damage assignment. The estimate message provides the information for the initial estimate as well as all the supplements associated with the vehicle. The estimate includes the repair parts, labor estimates, documents all of the prior damage and the vehicle condition. The estimate, when the vehicle damage is extensive, also includes total loss information for valuation assessment, which we'll cover a little bit later. The assessment message is then leveraged both for the vehicle glass estimate and the property damage glass estimate. While no significant changes have been made to the vehicle damage estimate message in some time, each year there's just a ton of enhancements that are made. This information, when joined with procurement information, created the work order message. Both the procurement and work order messages will be discussed later. So we see that the information types are the estimates, the supplements, the damage estimates for glass and supplements for glass. To note here is that we've got cars. The functionality includes cars, trucks, motorcycles, farm equipment, boats, specialty vehicles. So that's very exciting stuff there. Now the Vehicle Damage and Imaging Committee also manages the assignment. The assignment message was developed to initiate the vehicle damage estimate creation. This assignment functionality quickly grew from supporting just the vehicle damage assignment to include reassignment, assignment change, and assignment cancellation. Taking advantage of the basic assignment message, a glass assignment, rental assignment, property damage assignment, and subrogation assignment were later created. The portfolio of these messages was the launching pad for other messages to follow. As a side note, the assignment functionality for Salvage is in the disposition add request message, not in this particular message. Most recently, the assignment service was expanded to include towing assignment for both vehicle damage and roadside assistance. Again, you can see the exchange types and the functionality. Most important down on the bottom is these assignment services, which were developed for the vehicle damage assignments. The ability to track and charge, this is new for 2015, is the ability to track and charge aluminum repairs that required their own special codes for labor type, rate type, and total type. This is now included in the 2015 R2 release that will be available next month. The assignment service was expanded to include a new type of assignment. The assignment status and assignment priority of the assignment message is used to accomplish this. The assignment message now includes the rental assignment estimated days to repair the vehicle to better estimate the number of actual days of the rental. The committee is adding the assembly aggregate that was developed by the Recycle Parts and Inventory Committee. Estimatics vendors currently include assemblies in their estimates. This was an addition for recycled parts. The committee is wrapping up a project to include the motorcycle estimate in their implementation guide. The information needed for the motorcycle estimate is already in the standards. Now the attachment message, the business need for attachment to accompany the message was pursued and the attachment message was developed. Initially, these attachments were too large to include in a message and therefore a standalone message was developed. The business functionality has been expanded to include not only an attachment, but now authentication of the attachment, or instead of sending the attachment, to send only the attachment's location, which is normally a website address. Attachment types were increased and now range from pictures to PDFs to spreadsheets and Word documents to compressed files and now even audio. With the increase in message capability, these core aggregates are frequently incorporated into the business messages. Attachments are being integrated into other committees' offering, and these include the invoice and remittance messages, CSI messages, and the latest development is to create a unique component of the appointment message. All right, we're gaining momentum, and the scope of the business aspects quickly grew and resulted in several other message development committees, each focusing their attention on a different aspect of the business. All right, the glass, rental, and salvage committees were quickly formed. Let's go on to the glass. The glass committee's work is not found in any specific section of the business message suite, but rather has completed its deliverables in multiple messages in many of the BMS sections. Development has included those mentioned previously, the glass assignment for both vehicle damage and property, and the vehicle damage estimate was augmented to have the needed glass information for their trading partners. Right. This approach eased the time and effort of training partners who had already implemented the base message, assignments, estimates, scheduling, and invoicing. As with other committees that have had a legacy in EDI, electronic data interchange, their efforts was to migrate and improve both the message as well as the business workflow. The committee's involvement has also been critical in development of the invoice and remittance messages. On the heels of this development was the coordination of the CSI messages for glass services. Recently on their developments has been to integrate glass into the scheduling message. This section also includes an inspection appointment and report, which is focused on glass only. While the glass committee is technically in maintenance mode, meaning that they don't have any active projects, their members are active in other committees and monitor the work of the others are completing. So this is these are the messages you see, the types of messages and the business functionality for the glass. Now, rental joined in the development of the assignment messages, and the rental business needs were driven by the creation of other messages and services. In addition to the multiple assignment messages, rental is created in conjunction with repair status and authorization services between the rental providers and insurance carriers. The authorization services can be sent to the rental company or repair facility to change the rental period, or the rental company or repair facility can proactively request an extension if it is believed an extension of the rental period is warranted. The carrier identifies the need for the extension by the rental status message information. The authorization message can be sent in conjunction with the repair status message. Some of the 2015 committee activity, even though that the rental committee is technically in maintenance mode, they have been active in adding the estimate days to the rental assignment to enable the rental companies to better estimate the actual number of rental days for the vehicle. Authorization services focus on extending the rental period and is used by the carriers to extend the rentals in a proactive manner. From business flow perspective, it would be smart to know if the vehicle is available and to offer locations where they are available before a rental appointment message is issued. Requesters can now request information on available locations using zip codes, phone area codes, landmarks such as airports, using latitude and longitude locations, street addresses, specific rental offices, or even a street intersection. So there's some very improvements there. The rental requirements as far as location were integrated into the development of the invoice and remittance message. On the heels was a coordination, again, of the CSI messages. Most of the activity has been to ensure the appointment messages meet the needs of the rental community. Okay, it is impossible to discuss parts and material procurement without including recycled parts and inventory accomplishments and repair order collection. So I have grouped them close together in this presentation. We will start first with parts and materials procurement. All right. The 2015 committee activities have been even though it's technically in maintenance mode, meaning that there's no active projects, their members have been actively involved. The significant changes have been made to the Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee have been reviewed and approved by the Parts and Materials Committee. More of this in a couple of slides. Taking the estimate message to the repair site was first to emphasize the ordering of parts, from requesting part quotes to providing those quotes to ordering, sending orders status, sending invoices for other orders, authorization returns, sending credit memos, and many, many more. So you can see the kind of activity that's gone on within the parts and materials procurement. Okay. Now, the focus of the Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee was to augment the procurement messages to ensure recycled parts were an integral part of any message, from the RFQ, the request for quote, to the invoice and returns. Critical to this was another integration, the incorporation of the Automotive Recycler Association, the ARA code standards, into the CIECA standards. This has been successfully accomplished and continues to be augmented as ARA develops new code standards. 2015 code activity, there were two main focuses for their activities. First was the continuation of the inventory message, and second was the inclusion of the recall information into the procurement message. The invoice message was developed and then immediately identified the need to include assemblies in their inventory. The assembly aggregate did not exist and was created to place the assembly and all of their parts in the recycler's inventory. Recall information has not been stabilized by the industry, and our work completed to date has been documented and ready to restart as this data becomes available. CIECA is supporting the ARA in its initiatives to gain access to the OEM recall data, and if you've seen any of the recent announcements from the ARA that they've been lobbying our legislators and testifying before committees to get that information, and CIECA supports them in that activity. Now, going on to the repair order, when we augmented the procurement messages with the estimate message information, okay, you create a complete picture of the repair. All right. In addition to the estimate and the parts procured, the repair staff costs and charges are also included in the repair order message. This is unique to the repair order message in that it provides not only the invoice pricing, but also the repair facility's costs. Okay, so these are the types of things, and they created a repair order folder to contain all of this information and to share the repair order message to assignment and reassign the repair, and also the repair order messages for MSOs. In addition to these messages already noted, the procurement sends its invoice message with each part delivery. However, the billing is not via invoices, but rather in a financial statement coupled with a remittance message. Again, this is done in conjunction with multiple other committees in developing their financial exchange messages. Okay, moving on to the repair status. This is a service that was needed to report the status of a vehicle. The challenges that were in the coordination of the trading partners of this message exchange and the reduction of the overabundance of statuses. When they first started, they had 85 different statuses, and then they were further reduced down to 29. The next step was to categorize them, and so now they've got those down to a robust portfolio of message statuses that enable the matching of repair orders to claims to rental orders. Once the match is established and the status message can be exchanged to enable rental car companies, insurance companies, and repair facilities to exchange status information seamlessly. Okay. Information provided in these messages indicates that if the rental needs to be extended, okay, even includes the number of lines on the vehicle estimate, and all of this is to do some predictive studies and to further predict and more accurately the rental assignments. Salvage became a focus early in the development days. The disposition messages exist for those needing tow services only, tow and title services only, and to the full suite of salvage services. All start with a disposition add assignment message specifying the desired services and vehicle location. The assignment can be canceled at any time in the process with the cancel message. The business flow and message suite indicates or includes the processing of titles. This work has been coordinated with the title committee. The business of the vehicle disposition encompasses everything from improving the vehicle condition in an effort to gain additional dollars in the auction, to the handling of the title, to taking appropriate action for an abandoned vehicle. 2015 committee activities include that one of the activities was to evaluate the inclusion of recycled parts information, including the assembly, as we mentioned before. The evaluation was completed and is decided that the deal information would be included at this time. The addition of disposition status and disposition change action codes were augmented in 2015 to respond to the business expansion of services. Unique to the disposition process is the solver has the invoice information, as well as they most commonly have the remittance information. These messages have recently been developed and are now part of the standard business message suite. As Salvage has quickly grown into a global business, all country codes are now included in the CIECA standards. Thinking that the work was completed and evaluation of other needs exist, the messages needed for a direct sale were now added, or again now added to the message suite. All right. The Salvage Committee has included multiple invoice messages, multiple invoice rejection messages, multiple remittance messages, workflow updated for financial messages, and added all the ISO, International Standards Organization Committee codes. Now moving on to the invoice, statement, and remittance. Following the success of the assignment services, which integrated the business functionality into one assignment message, the team again joined forces to create the financial suite of messages. The invoice message was used by all businesses except the procurement and recycled parts and inventory. These two teams used the statement message as they have already sent invoices with each part order. 2015 committee activities for the Subrogation Committee added the business functionality for the subrogation remittance message, leveraging the base invoice messages that exist. The subrogation development will be covered a little bit later. Let's see, yes. Okay, moving on to CSI. Following what was successfully accomplished in the assignment and invoice services, a joint effort was embarked to develop one CSI service. More challenging than the reduction of the repair status codes was the CSI questions and answers. Now you can imagine what they were. They were actually hundreds and thousands of them, and now that was reduced into 41 with answers with 10 specific answers. And so those were all standardized, and those questions and answers are readily available on the website under the public documents section. All right, CSI has a separate set of information for estimates, repair orders, glass services, rental experiences, tow service evaluations, property glass damage assessments, and the creation of a general category for CSI messages. Total loss evaluation. There's a gap between the vehicle repair and the salvage process is the need for a vehicle valuation. The valuation service enabled the request or the and or report be completed in multiple ways, and these ways can be combined into one evaluation. It was determined that each valuation would not be built on the last, but restarted with a new request and a request that provides additional information on the existing valuation. There are a total of 19 different types of valuations included in the standards. As with all the messages and business processes, activity from the initial request can be changes, cancellations, inquiries on statuses, and the ability to provide additional information. Reporting is done in conjunction with each state's requirements. Title services, exchange messages between the salvage provider, for example, insurance company, fleet company, and lien holder to release the lien on the the title property. This need was highlighted by the past hurricane on the East Coast. There's a recent effort to engage financial institutions and DMVs to become part of the process. As most of you know, that each one of the DMVs has those states have different processes and different standards on how to communicate, and that's a major challenge. And so CIECA and the committee has been working through the National Association, AMVA, but that progress is very slow since they only meet once or twice a year, and it's just getting mind share. Interesting one is now is the claim save message, which is part of the VDI, and it's one of the later ones. The vehicle accident can include property damage as well as passenger medical injuries. So this message enables us, the suite of messages, the ability for a company to organize all accident-related information into one collection for their records. This is really called a superordinate claim folder. Will manage these claims at a high level so that each vehicle claim, property claim, and medical claim can exist within that. These messages are able to manage and coordinate coverage of all claims resulting from a single accident. The newest area will be the expansion of this service to include more detail for medical services. Okay, repeating one more time the success of the assignment, invoice, and CSI was a joint development for the appointment or scheduling messages. The ability to change an appointment was rejected as the process normally includes the cancellation and search for a new appointment. So the reasoning was that if in the event that a previous appointment might have been the best, but yet it was taken already and no longer available, so that the work process flow to change an assignment is to request another appointment, select it, and then cancel the one no longer needed. But you can see that this is quite a feature-rich set of scheduling and appointment messages. It includes glass repair and replacement, glass inspection, I should say, glass repair and replacement, vehicle damage imaging, and vehicle damage estimate, and repair scheduling, towing, and rental schedule. Okay, and that towing was one of the new ones added to that. Subrogation, expanding the walls of the normal everyday damage business scope, is the development of subrogation message suite. Usually in this case, your vehicle is repaired by your carrier and you're not at fault. Somebody else hit you. Now, therefore, your carrier then pursues the recovery of damages from the responsible party, its carrier. This can be for any damage, but it's not limited just to vehicle damage. The message exchange is normally limited to the party who is demanding the reimbursement of paid expenses. This includes vendors as well as legal representatives. Included in the process, but under development, is the exchange of information for arbitration. Both binding and non-binding arbitration are included in the business workflow. 2015 committee activities include the development of the invoice and remittance message for the business functionality. Subrogation, after further assessment, found that this did not meet their business requirements, and two messages initially developed were merged into one message, the remittance message, and that seems to streamline the process and make things flow much better. The current work has been successful in the financial messages from the responsible parties to the demanding parties. The invoice message from the subrogation vendor is nearing completion. We're almost done, folks. Architecture is the most technical committee that we have. So who coordinates all this stuff, and who ensures that everything is done in the same way? Who monitors the committee's work and aids them in developing better messages? Where are the resources for the development committee's members to access technical questions? The answer is the architecture team. This team responds to maintenance requests for both the BMS and code lists. It is also this team that takes on the responsibility to develop the associated schemas. Architecture has provided the quality assurance function, a very important function. Prior to each release, a QA face-to-face is held, and the main goal is to ensure the BMS, the code list, and schema are all in sync. Last week, Architecture held its QA for release 2015 R2. Recently included was within the architectures the testing of new schemas with the changes that were included in the release. They are also responsible for additional duties. A web service implementation guide was developed for both .NET and Java technology. Most recently have embarked on the evaluation of the recent mobile-related JSON technology. And specifically in 2015, the Architecture Committee continues to expand their activities and standardizes their work. In addition to setting the rules in Section 2 of the BMS and improve the standards development, the Architecture Guidelines document was created. These guidelines cover general committee work, requirements, and guidelines for the BMS, the code lists, and schema development. This document continues to be reviewed and augmented. This year, the QA focus was expanded to include the development of instance documents for all messages. This has been added to each committee's task to be completed at various times in 2015 and 2016. This ensures that you'll be able to actually have, testing information for the documents, and helps the implementers. Currently, the instance documents can be tested one at a time. This is very time-consuming. As such, an automated program has been defined and development is underway. The development has started in 2015 and will be completed in 2016. This will ensure that all new additions to both the BMS and code lists are implemented as designed, and all prior development has not been affected. Right. Activity for all committees was to standardize an activity for all committees headed by the Architecture Committee was to standardize all of the documents themselves. As I mentioned, that the VDI was the first committee and started in 2002, and the last committee was formed in 2013. There's a variance in the documents, formats, and contents. Under the guidance of the Architecture Committee, the committees have now standardized all of the charters, the business plans, the workflows, the implementation guides, and the implementation guide Appendix C documents. Education provides the manpower to host the annual implementation conference and symposium as a forum for learning, as well as networking with other developers and business people associated with taking the advantage of the CIECA standards. All right. Throughout the year, CIECAs, like today's, provides insight on a specific topic. Previous CIECAs are found on the website, in addition to several tools that have been developed in conjunction with the architecture team to aid developers and implementers alike. Recent efforts were to include CIECA TV with on-demand videos as a method to aid our members to better understand CIECA and carry our message forward. The committee usually meets weekly on a conference call on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. No technical expertise is required, but a willingness to participate, bring an open, creative mind to help address the needs of the industry and CIECA members. Primarily, the committee is responsible for the content of the annual conference, the CIECAs, as well as planning and execution of other activities. We hold brainstorming sessions for other industry events, and we welcome, the committee is open to all and to all suggestions. So if you're interested, please let us know. With all that, it's no wonder that the 350 plus conference calls and face-to-face meetings each year have been so productive. CIECA's employee and member employees really deliver for the industry. Thank you for attending. That's a short recap, and even though there's a lot in there, a recap of the committees and what's new with each committee. If you have interest in learning more about any of the committees or wish to join a committee, please see Charlie Quirt or myself.